Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tesla Life number 92. We're at 92 already.
I know.
Man,
how is that
just
even
doesn't
possible?
seem right. It's the 27th of November, getting close to the end of the month, 2019. And we have got a full show for you guys tonight. So let's get to it and introduce the panel.
Let's not.
Okay, I've got to rewind the tape already.
He said November. I heard it.
Did you just say you said November? Wow.
I think in November.
Next season can't come soon
March
enough.
is probably more accurate than November,
Yes.
I would say. So,
And I'm so
March
full of
27th.
histamines, I didn't even notice it.
Yeah.
So-
Speaking of drugs, Mr. Russell Frost joins us from sunny California. And you can tell it's sunny because of his dark hood.
You can tell that I'm sick as a dog because I'm dressed like this inside my house. It's 65 degrees outside. It is considerably warmer than that here. And yeah, I got some kind of nasty virus thing. And I have a shoot on Saturday, so I am doing everything I can to be ready to earn money on Saturday. So thanks for having me here. Luckily, none of you guys are going to catch this because
It's a fair distance between us all.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, in Chicagoland, we've got Tony Schaefer. How you doing today, Tony?
Hey, everybody. I'm doing great. I'm doing really well. It's actually warm. It was up to almost 60 degrees Fahrenheit today, which is the second time this year that the thermometer has touched 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
Excellent. We broke 54 here in Ontario, so we are quite
Nice.
happy ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
And for a roundabout in the weather, Mr. Casey Green in South Carolina. How is it there?
It's in the 60s. Not bad.
Not bad. Short
Not
sleeve weather.
Uh,
Almost.
light jacket weather.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Light jacket weather for thin-blooded people.
you know what?
I mean, if you're going to stand outside and it's got a
Didn't
little bit
have-
of wind chill and like
you didn't have to go there. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, whenever you go to like a warm place in the spring or winter months and you see people wearing shorts and t-shirts, you know they're Canadian.
It's
It's
true.
just the
Or
way it
Michigan.
is.
Michigan too.
In Michigan too, yeah.
Or Wisconsinites.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, yeah.
That's all I'm saying, brother.
Very good.
Oh, I'm back from autopilot jail.
Yeah.
Yes, so Casey had a video, if you haven't watched already today, where he was really upset. He was thrown in autopilot jail and
I
was
deserved it, but
demanding that someone fix this
Yes, the
atrocity.
solution.
Yes. And I take it you haven't received a call from Elon yet.
No.
No. Okay.
He told me he would call you later today.
Oh,
so.
Yeah.
okay. More likely to talk to you than me.
That leads to our first story, which was a little bit of a discussion that happened with Franz von Holzen, who
I like
was,
that guy.
of course, at the Model Y event that happened recently. And Franz was approached by a number of different, I guess, journalists / bloggers while he was at the event. And he was prompted a number of times on the same subject, which was, hey, is the Model Y going to be able to tow anything? Is there going to be a tow package on the Model Y? And while you're answering that, how about the Model 3? We've heard so many things about that. Can you tell us about the Model 3 and its towing ability? And apparently, either because he lost his temper or because he was tired of getting the same questions over and over, he actually responded to one of the groups that was from Europe and indicated that, yes, the Model Y is going to have some sort of a tow package that will be disclosed soon. And he did also indicated that, yes, the Model 3 is capable of a tow package as well. And that would be announced after, either at the same time or, again, the soon was used to describe the time frame about that release. And, of course, we have seen this in previous posts where some people have gone underneath the car, the Model 3, that is, and been able to ascertain that there could be some towing ability based on what they've seen. And there was that I guess it was a note that was in the manual that was talking about the ability for it to tow when it was linked with all-wheel drive. So there was that indication in the manual as well. So again, it's just further, I guess, clarification is still coming. But for those that have a 3 or want the Y, yes, there is going to be towing ability apparently.
There was also the early teardowns of the production Model 3s that had the towing pigtail wiring labeled and active.
Right. So the wiring was actually there and connected.
Yep.
So I guess I'm not sure why the wait. All the models now have been released to the Model 3. We've got the all-wheel drive. We've got the even the standard range has been released. Not sure why it's waiting on this, but
we haven't seen any sort of air suspension models. He did mention them at first. I don't know if they're still coming.
That's a possibility of having an air suspension. And I guess that could be associated with the tow quite easily, an air suspension package. So,
yeah, because when the Model X was supposed to come without it, you couldn't get towing package without getting the air suspension. And
then that sounds like the smoking
standard
gun. Definitely waiting for that air suspension to be able to pump up the back end when attached to a trailer.
Yeah.
So.
Pump up the back end.
No, it wasn't Dance Party, Russell. Sorry.
I thought you were going to start going in to pump up the jam or something like that. Kind of feeling it today.
Next story. A little bit about some more lawsuits that Tesla has thrown out at a few individuals.
Mm-hmm.
No mention of the saboteur in this particular
article. That one got real quiet, didn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But we've got Tesla going after an ex-employee who, again, apparently, allegedly, downloaded a number of different, I guess,
he
documents.
Stole Elon's porn.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised. It seems they're very lax on their data controls.
Porn server?
Either that or he expects them to be adults and responsible, but it's obviously not working.
It was marked confidential. What more do you need?
See, in my job, if I remove anything labeled confidential, they'll put me under the jail.
Oh yeah,
you'll be thrown under the bus. Absolutely.
The bus going over the jail.
At my company, we build the buses they run you over with.
And then you're part of the testing apparatus.
Right, yeah. Right? And the trains and the light rails.
It's a progression to you're actually dead. Yes.
It depends, whether it was confidential, strictly confidential, or highly proprietary. Yes.
So apparently one of these individuals was employed by a new Chinese startup that coincidentally is going to be building electric cars and autonomous drive. And that company reacted to the news just yesterday that they would certainly believe it's a serious matter and that they would abide by the authorities asking questions and being able to answer questions about what they know and when they knew it. And they feel it's a serious cause of concern for them. So they're saying all the right things.
Yeah.
It'll left to be seen as to whether or not these things actually get handled in that forthright manner or not.
Some of these things are just crazy. So one of the people, his name is Turner, Scott Turner, former manager at a distribution center, sent 2 confidential documents to his personal email address with the questionable words, "You sly dog, you." And then another guy, Dement, a former warehouse supervisor, sent a message from his work email to his personal email with 4 documents of sensitive information. And the subject of the message was, quote, "good stuff." And you're telling me you couldn't come up with a different subject, or just no subject, or don't tell Elon I'm stealing his proprietary information?
And then it gets better. It gets better.
Yeah. Go on.
Then he replies back to the guy's old work email.
Exactly. Yes. with an email that featured the logo for Zooks, the new company.
The new company.
Oh, I
Yes.
didn't realize that part. That's even better.
Oh my God. I mean, it's like if the Three Stooges tried to do Ocean's 11.
Yeah. But then didn't the old head of Autopilot also steal like everything?
Yes, that
Yep.
was
Allegedly. Sorry.
yeah,
Allegedly.
But I think they've traced that one down too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, like everything was under his login, and then the laptop was missing.
Surprise.
So this, I was reading this article and in all of these about stealing intellectual property, and as we know, Apple and Samsung and Google and all smartphone manufacturers are now just constantly suing each other over who knew what and who stole whose ideas. Has Tesla moved, do you think, into the realm of now they're going to have to lawyer up and just chase down all these breaches and intellectual properties?
All they have to do is use their data controls that I'm sure their system already has available that they are not implemented or turned on or whatever.
Well,
I mean, they do a lot in Salesforce.
Okay,
You're dying to say something, Russell. Go ahead.
He's going to say, like, what data security and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the obvious part. I mean, because I assume that Apple and Samsung and they all have
Microsoft.
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, it's almost like half of what you read about Apple and Samsung is lawsuits.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have all these companies competing over, they're competing autopilot and self-driving and AI. Do you think this is going to follow that trend where it's going to be a lot of hardware, but it's also going to be a lot of lawsuits over who stole whose data?
Absolutely. I mean, Tesla's proven time and again that they're not afraid to start a lawsuit, and they're also not afraid to fight one to the bitter end, even when it's ill-advised. They like the courts.
And the other thing is that, of course, there's been a lot of turnover at Tesla. That means people are leaving in different capacities. And certainly those people are a lot of them would be going on to other jobs or have been offered other jobs in other firms that want the space that Tesla's in. So yeah, I believe that this is going to escalate. There's going to be a lot more of these as time goes along.
In what sense do you think another company wants the space that Tesla's in? What is it you think that Tesla has? Since Elon has already given all of his patents to everyone and said, use them, what does Tesla have?
With the patents, it's also a good faith thing. And one thing I didn't realize that somebody pointed out to me is that it's very open source. Remember when Ballmer used to be afraid of Linux? It's like that. So once you've used a Tesla patent, all your stuff is now open source as well.
Okay, but I'm still not clear. My question is, what does Tesla have that is valuable that is being stolen? Because all of these things that I've heard about, this one, the saboteur, the information that was allegedly taken was really pretty tepid. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't this, in this case, it's the warp system stuff that tracks their manufacturing stuff. That's certainly, it's certainly proprietary information that is confidential, but is it going to hurt Tesla? I mean, unless there's something in there they don't want anybody to see. And the other thing, was more or less the same thing. So I guess what I'm saying is I think they're making a big they're like that 4-year-old that falls down and sits there for about 30 seconds and then figures, oh, I need to cry if anyone's going to give me attention.
Perhaps they are trying to set an example before anything substantial comes out.
That is certainly
like, man, if they're going to make a big stink about the warp software,
there are certainly groups that would say that's the front you put up at any point to avoid this from happening to others.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and thinking of getting back to the patents that they did release, it was my understanding even at the time that was already generationally old stuff. That it wasn't like, here's what we're working on right now, go ahead and reproduce this. It was more of like, what was it, Toyota? Was it Toyota that gave Ford hybrid technology?
They licensed HSD technology.
Okay, yeah, they licensed it to them, but it was like the Gen 1 Prius stuff.
Yes.
And Toyota had already moved on to the Gen 2 and was already laying out the Gen 3. It was my understanding that when Elon released the patents, they were already generationally old, but they were enough to get somebody going.
Yeah, like especially they had a lot of stuff in there from how to cool the batteries down, how to assemble them. Well, not that one, but like they had the sunroof button in there. Stuff that would, like you said, would help you out. And it was probably already old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just ask these questions. I'm not always right.
And then 01010 pointed out that that whoever I heard that from about the in-kind sharing might be mistaken. So I'll have to look into that further.
All righty.
Mark, sorry, before you go on, we currently have, was it Lee? The current show title, Stealing Elon's Porn.
That's a good way to get demonetized.
Wow. There you go.
All right, so keep the titles coming.
That's an early leader, Lee. Thank you very much.
Obi-Wan Russell.
Very good.
Oh yeah, Obi-Wan and Darth. Darth Frost.
Darth Frost. I like that one.
Another little leak from a supplier recently talked a little bit about the Model 3 possibly losing some weight, going on a diet. But and of course, every pound matters in any of these electric cars. So the manufacturers are always looking for ways to lighten the load because, of course, the batteries do take up so much weight in the car. And, of course, a lighter load allows the car to travel longer distances with less battery. So I just wanted to throw this in as an indicator that Tesla is innovating, continuing to innovate, as any auto manufacturer should. They're looking at the current model they have and trying to figure out ways of making it better. In this case, this manufacturer's the supplier is pointing at the ability for Tesla to find ways to reduce the overall weight of the Model 3 and benefit from it. Again, nothing really news breaking here, but it is good to see that they're working on further generations of the car by innovating.
So 01010 brings up a good point. Do cars actually have swimsuit seasons?
Are you ready for bikini season?
Wouldn't it be spring just like everything else?
Yeah, I'm ready for bikini season.
So with the Model 3's weight, it's actually already pretty lightweight. I think it was within 100, 200 pounds of the 3 Series.
It is.
Which is unlike the Model X and the Model S, which are substantially heavier than
right?
Yeah.
But of course, if you can even get down to an M3's weight or less, you're going to reap the benefits.
Better performance, better fuel efficiency.
Exactly. So it certainly makes sense to whittle that weight down as long as it's not affecting safety.
Yes. Because mass and inertia do play in safety.
Exactly.
And I have an exact example of that. So this week I have the Outlander PHEV from Mitsubishi, and I was excited on has a 12 kilowatt hour pack. It's a plug-in hybrid, so it's not full EV, so it only has 12 kilowatt hours. And I'm thinking, oh, this is awesome because my Prime has 8.8. And if my 8.8 will take me 25 to 30, then the 12 surely is going to give me 30 to 35. But the EPA is 22 to 25. But of course, the Outlander is a much beefier, heavier vehicle. So it speaks exactly to what you were talking about, Kate.
It's slightly heavier, isn't it?
A little more square.
And not quite as aerodynamic.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a perfect illustration of how all of these things come together to show the efficiency and the range that you get.
Exactly.
That said, there is a point of diminishing returns, and I'm not going to. The base point here is absolutely valid. The lighter, the more efficient the vehicle is going to be. There was a time in my life when I rode mountain bikes. I was a bicycle, and I remember shopping for one of my bikes and being in the showroom with the salesperson. He was saying, well, if you get this one, you get this one, and with this set, you get this sort of group components, and they are 2.6 ounces lighter than the other one. And I looked at the guy and I went, dude, I weigh like 220. Okay, 2.6 ounces is like the Pop-Tart I had for breakfast. Why am I going to spend $150 for these? I get that they're better components and that they're lighter, and that if you're like a jockey, if you're a competition cyclist, that's super important. But
Good point. Good point. So the Porsche and the Lamborghini, Ferrari, a bunch of them have special race kits where they're still street legal, but they are adding lightness and becoming more austere. So I wonder if perhaps they'll have like a Model 3P lightness edition.
Could be, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You just, make sure your driver weighs 96 pounds.
Right.
Yes.
You can just put a sticker on the car. That's
no driver over 100 pounds.
Nobody over 100. Yeah.
Ooh.
I think, the lightness kit is a membership to Weight Watchers.
There you go.
That's the best way to cut weight in my world, right? Just skip a meal or two.
I just imagined you, Russell, that the guy's talking to you about 2.8 ounces, and you're like, dude, I ate an In-N-Out burger on the way here.
Right.
Yeah, half pound, quarter pound, right?
Or when I was using that bike to commute to work, I'm like, oh, I got a 30-pound camera bag that I strap on the back. You know what I mean? Like,
2.6 ounces. Yes,
ultimately,
indeed.
it's important, but there is a point of diminishing returns where you start chasing things just for the sake of chasing them, and it doesn't really help.
Yeah.
Bragging rights.
Casey, maybe you can give us a little bit of a rundown on the new referral program.
Oh,
God,
yes, no.
Indeed. The referral program has clawed its way back from the grave.
No.
So, if you order any vehicle currently in production, Model S, Model X, Model 3, then you get, and you use a referral member's code, you have to use their link. You can't get it added after the fact anymore like last time. So if you order a car, you have to click on somebody's link or type it in manually. Then you get 1,000 miles of credit. And then the person who referred you gets 1,000 miles of credit. And then they also get entries into the competition to win one Model Y Performance or one Roadster. And if they've already won a Roadster or 2 or 3 before, they are not eligible.
Yeah.
So you're out, Casey, right? You're
well,
out.
I'm not. I'm in, very much in. I got a Charger from buying my own car.
There you go.
And so the Model Y is eligible, but not until it enters production. So what I had recommended on one of my videos was to go ahead and reserve it now, go ahead and make your down payment now, and then if they don't change the car too much, the price doesn't go up, or they don't add or remove features, then order a second one and cancel the first one using the referral code, because 1,000 miles is 1,000 miles. But they also raised the price recently, so
exactly, it went up $1,000, didn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to be careful with that canceling as to whether or not it makes
check
sense.
it out first. Yeah. When it comes to Tesla lately, if you see what you want, buy it now, or it's gonna get canceled. I learned
it's gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I learned that back in 2012 when the Model S40 was exactly what I wanted. I was saving up for it, and then the same week I was going to have the last of my paycheck to make that it was, I think it was $5,000 at the time. Elon gets up on stage or on an email or whatever, and he's like, "Nobody's ordering the S40; it's canceled." I'm sitting there saying, "No,
that's mine.
That's mine." Yes. Yep. So I bought a handful of shares of the stock at like $30 and paid off some debts, and then bought an Xbox. I should have bought more shares than the Xbox.
Bought an Xbox.
Should have bought more Xbox.
Yeah.
So is this incentive, the 1,000 miles thing? Is this a U.S. only thing?
No, it is not. So if you are in Canada, you get 1,500 kilometers.
I was going to say
equivalent.
So what you're saying is they rip you off by
they rip you off if you're Canadian. Yes.
Yeah. There it is.
Worldwide, I suppose.
If you're north of the 49th, you get ripped off. It's the way it goes.
And so you can use either my code or Mark's code or any of your friends. Just make sure that you order it from our URLs rather than trying to call in after the fact and say, hey, I really liked Mark, add his code to it. Or, hey, Casey told me to do this, but I forgot to. They're going to say tough.
And they'll say, sorry, it doesn't work.
Yep, you can cancel it and return it within 7 days.
If you out there want a code, send a note in the YouTube chat or send it to our social media, and we'll be happy to share a code with you
We can just
get it out to you.
You can put it directly in the description for this video.
There you go.
We can do that as well.
Also, I want to clarify something that Casey had said. There was an asterisk there, and I'm just going to follow up by saying, screw your friends. Use Mark or Casey's code. That's how I roll.
Hey,
No
I mean,
problem.
doing all
No
these supercharger
problem there
reviews,
at all.
it might come in handy.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. Our next story is a follow-up to the story a couple weeks ago about the province of Saskatchewan. Woo!
I just like saying
Does anyone know where Saskatchewan is?
North of me.
I do. I know only because I Googled it.
Isn't that where Manuel lives?
Tony, very good. Very good.
And the population of the 2018 census was 1.16
Oh,
million.
he's in Manitoba. Sorry.
He's
Was
got
how many?
census numbers.
Yes, well, because it's just over 1 million. Because I was thinking maybe there are more superchargers than people.
Wow.
So Elon was prompted on stage during the Model Y, and it was obviously someone from Saskatchewan who was yelling at him, "What about the Saskatchewan superchargers?" And he laughed and said, yes, I even asked about them a couple times. He said they're under construction. And then our Twitter feed at the Tesla Life, if you're not already subscribed, it got a prompt from a couple of Saskatchewanites, and they indicated that no, there was no construction going on. Well, it turns out that now a number of permits have been okayed, and there are a couple of communities that have not, if not broken ground, are about to be broken ground to put superchargers in place. And one of them is in front of a Red Barn family restaurant. Never heard of the place, but apparently it's a good place to put a supercharger.
There you have it.
Any place you can get a host is a good place to put a supercharger.
Exactly. So if you're hoping to travel across the plains of Canada, it's coming. It is coming.
What I know that I think we had even talked about this before. There was a movie that a guy goes TransCanada for Canada Day. You know what I'm talking about?
Was it on the rails or was it by road?
It was a movie, and the guy drives across Canada to end up in Vancouver on Canada Day, and he stops. He makes multiple stops along the way, and I mean it's a very well done. It's not cinematic, It's like him, maybe even with his phone. But he talks about all the great things, and I mean it's really kind of inspiring. It makes you want to go, drive across Canada. And I was reminded of this because now that there's going to be this TransCanada supercharger route, I mean that would be something really, really cool.
Yep, absolutely. I would hope that I could do that journey at one point with my car. I would love to do that.
I know
that would be like fantastic. But we'll look for that link. I don't recall speaking about this previously.
Oh no, that was not it. I found a movie called Canada Day. That is not it. Yeah, it's a.
Don't go there. You're digging a hole, Tony. Do not go there.
I think it was Canada in a Day.
Canada in a Day.
It might have been Canada. Maybe not. I'm not sure.
We'll confirm that and get back to everybody.
Someone in the chat room's got to know. Somebody has seen this movie. I know they have.
Well, speaking of web browsing, as Tony looks for the Canada in a Day, Tesla's indicated that they're going to be upgrading their browser shortly.
Finally, again.
It's going to be a product off of Chrome called Chromium. So this is an open sourced browser, or started that way, where they had a number of different groups contribute. And this apparently, Elon had indicated in a tweet recently that they were going to be using Chromium as the standard browser going forward. And again, the time frame was soon, so we don't know when.
Have they stolen or borrowed or licensed Soon PM from Microsoft?
I don't know. I don't know if that's the case or not, but they use Soon a lot.
Yeah.
So again, this version of Chromium may be specific to Tesla, may not be part of the, I guess, the open Chromium package. It may be strictly for Tesla. In fact, I would believe it would have to. They wouldn't license an opened product because there could be too many holes or problems with it. I think it's going to be, and of course, Tesla does some lockdowns based on media content that they display to try to keep it light, so the cell service isn't downloading movies left, right, and center for kids to watch YouTube videos.
What's the problem with that?
Well, LTE across a user base now of, 500,000, it tends to get expensive.
Plus, the whole computer screen in your face while driving.
Have you seen Elon's Gulfstream? And I can't watch a YouTube movie? Come on.
So,
you cheap bastard.
I just hope that that they at least keep it up to date. The first web browser was cool, that that they had one, but it was out of date on launch.
Let's face it, it was cool because it was actually there. You could web browse. Like that was the cool part.
Well, plus it was on 3G, so you didn't expect too much. But now, the new one they have on LTE, that one, it was okay when it launched, and it very quickly got out of date. And then if their Chromium is not, properly maintained, it's going to put them right back where they were, and only now with more exploits. Yeah.
So we got to talk about exploits in the future here, but some have voiced the same concern, Casey. We really don't know. We don't know what will become. But it'll be interesting to see if Chromium does give it a kick in speed, initially at least. I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah, David says it's easy to keep up to date because it's open source, but the problem is, will they?
Right. And speaking of things changing quickly, as Casey had mentioned a few minutes ago, if you didn't buy that Model S and X with the standard battery, well, you could. It's now gone.
Yep. There's a 2019 version of me out there somewhere saying, "Damn it, Elon."
So there's someone just waiting to put that deposit down, and boom, it's gone. So in another move, another change, they've dropped that standard battery in favor of keeping just 100 kilowatt ability. Not sure why, but that is the way it is in the world of Tesla. Things change rapidly. And as Casey had mentioned earlier, if you want something and you see it's there, it's time to get it. Otherwise, you may miss out.
Does that include proprietary information?
Yeah, including proprietary information. But
I see it. I want it. I'm just going to take it because
just take it. Yep. Just take it.
A couple of caveats with that one, but the price may go up, it may go down, or the item may disappear. Like I bought full self drive, and the day or two after I bought it, it was removed from the menu. And I mean, it came back, but the importance to me was that it was on the window sticker. So if something happens to the car, my insurance company will replace it to make me whole. And had I bought it as an aftermarket, they would have been like, "Oh, you shouldn't have bought them rims and stereo," like, even if it's actually just a download to the car.
I think the interesting thing about this is that clearly the reason you stop making something is because people stop buying it.
Sometimes it might not be cost effective to make it anymore. So if you have to make a special run or a special mold to do the smaller battery pack, in this case they weren't because it was just software limited. But
right,
yeah.
And even if you did, you'd already made the mold. You were selling the product for a while.
Yeah.
You want to sell as many pieces of that as you can to amortize the cost.
Exactly.
But
go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Casey.
So the interesting thing about this was, remember, I think I said it on the show, where when the Model X came back and they had the long range and the performance, I said, well, did they forget to put the standard range Model X, or is it because it's heavy? And then now the Model S has lost the standard range. So then they match, but it wasn't quite the way I was expecting it to match.
It's interesting in that, looking at this article, I would get the impression that the lowest price S is $75,000.
Right. And the highest price Model 3 is $75,000.
And the lowest price X is $80,000.
Right.
So I mean, obviously you've got Model 3 way below that, right?
Yeah.
Covering that thing. But yeah, I would guess that it's sales that's driving that.
And
lack thereof.
I don't know if we have this one on there, but the inventory cars are going up 3% on April 1st.
Again?
Correct.
I thought they went up last Monday.
They did?
Yeah.
And they're going up again.
But just the ones that are on the ground already.
This is so confusing.
So
what do
these
you
would be
mean
the
the ones
demo
that are on the
cars and
ground?
the ones
on them.
Right? So these
What
would
do
be
you
the
mean
demo
by-
cars and the ones where somebody didn't complete their order for whatever reason, the bank didn't approve it, or they switched to another one, whatever the case may be.
So they're charging more for existing inventory than they
Correct.
are for ordering a car.
No, the ordered cars have already gone up, and most of the inventory cars went up. But some of the inventory cars were getting
Did not go up.
getting their discounts or whatever, and he's going to raise, no matter what the discount is, he's going to raise it by 3% on
Gotcha.
April 1st. So if you see an inventory car you want, use one of our codes and buy it now before the price goes up.
There you go.
Check the comments on this video.
Yes.
Exactly. Another note as an update from last week. Remember we displayed that first pillar at the Gigafactory?
Yeah.
And there was a Chinese inscription on it. Well, a friend of the show, Derek Ludwig, went out and got a translation for us. And it turns out that the red banner read, "Celebrate the first steel column installed in the Super Tesla factory."
So was
is
that right?
what the quote was.
Nice.
So thanks very much to Derek, who went out and found that and sent it to our Twitter feed at the Tesla Life, and we updated that in the post. So
Indeed.
if you're following us through the week, you can see us at the Tesla Life on Twitter and the Tesla Life #1 on Facebook. So
A lot of good
log
stuff out
into
there.
both of those and be informed throughout the week.
Awesome. Yep. Thanks, Derek.
Very good. Very good.
Celebrate.
Hacking. Hacking. Let's talk hacking. So Tesla put on a hackathon apparently recently at
They participated in one.
You participated in one?
Tesla participated in an existing
Oh,
one.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they had this I guess open call out to hackers if they could break into the Model 3. And a group of hackers were successfully able to break in, and I understand it was through the web browser. They got into the vehicle and were able to manipulate things or show that they were in and at the code. And for their efforts, the hacker group was given the car as a prize.
You can hack it, you can keep it.
It's right. If you hack it, it's yours.
Yeah.
So again, we've talked about this program in the past where Tesla had offered cash rewards, and this is an escalation of that, allowing people to actually benefit greatly if they were able to break into the car and get themselves a free Model 3 in this case. So it's certainly that is going to motivate many people to try to do this. It'll be interesting to see if this goes forward, if this is going to be standard for Tesla. I know that some other automakers have run into the problem where their products have been hacked, and they weren't even aware of it. So Tesla is at least trying to be proactive and try to get groups to participate in the hacking of it ethically so they can benefit from what has been found. But this is something that is at the core of a security measure.
Yeah, and the way that the other auto manufacturers in the past have handled it has not been good. A, it's user hostile, and B, it really looks bad the way they handle it. Tesla hired away Apple's security chief many years ago. I don't know if she's still there, but she set them on a good mindset. Like at that time, the firmware was set unencrypted to the car. Almost nothing was encrypted in the car, and she tightened up the ship a little bit. And so right now on the screen you're seeing a picture of what happened. They were actually able to hack the car through the web browser, and it's been speculated that that is the reason why we are getting the decent web browser finally, and not because they love us, but because they want to keep the car from getting hacked again.
Mhm.
Yep. I think that's great. Pawned by, and then you have one button. Okay.
Acknowledged.
Yes, I was.
Here's an interesting one.
And yeah. David also points out. I'm sorry. David also points out that Tesla has a history of paying out bounties for their bugs. They have a good
They do.
security stance, posture, and.
But this is certainly an escalation of the payouts.
Yeah. This is what at least 60,000 versus the 50 max before.
Exactly. The next story is about some advanced summon. So, as you know, there's been some updates that have been sent out to, I guess, people that are on the early tester list. And part of the agreement for the early testers is that they are unable to share information about the new releases. Well, apparently, a few people on the internet did not read the fine print of the agreement they signed.
Dun, dun, dun.
You'll be in jail soon.
And this gentleman here decided that he would summon his car from the parking spot over to him and film it with his accomplice.
About to run over someone holding a baby. Yeah.
And I could see that person with the baby is watching that car real close.
Yeah.
But it is watching the video. It's painfully slow at this point, which was expected. Mm-hmm. Tesla's taking every opportunity to err on the side of caution as they go through the different testing of this, and most likely it will speed up as they're more comfortable with what's going on and how the cars are reporting back based on their operations. But it's an interesting first step. The advanced summon seems to be the testing part is pulling it from a parking spot to you, not from going to you to a parking spot. So that will come later. Right, yeah. But this is the first part of it, and it's really interesting to watch the video and watch the people around it spot the car with no driver moving around the parking lot.
Yes. Well, with these videos, my favorite was the one by Kid Real. He looks to be a young person. I wouldn't even say he's even a teenager yet. And he did the best job. He showed you what was going on the screen. You could actually see the car plotting the path to him. And then he shows you the car, and he's back and forth between the two, rather than all these, adults. They're just showing the car slowly inching around.
A preteen is making Tesla videos.
I can't find his account anymore, so I don't know if anybody reported him or if he quit.
Someone reported him.
Oh, checking I think he's now at Zoom.
Oh,
Zooks.
but they've been making significant progress with this feature. I saw another video just yesterday where it was moving at about 4 times the speed as what we see in these videos in the article that we're talking about here, and it's a lot more confident. I also saw somebody summon it from their garage to about 3 houses down. I don't know if they combined it with a regular summon and then did a find me, or if the car was smart enough to realize it was in its own garage, open it up, reverse out, close the garage, and then go find the guy. If it can do all of that in one, that is incredibly more advanced than I expected. If he did a double summon where he did just the back out where it already does all that stuff and then called it to him, that's not as impressive.
Yeah. Oh, I forget to close the garage sometimes. So
yeah. So mine always closes the garage door when I leave, and it opens it when I arrive.
Location-based garage door.
That's
very
correct.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah. It used to beep loudly, and now it does it silently. So it's like, did it work? You got to look and see.
Well, if you hit the door, it didn't work.
Bingo.
Thankfully, myself and the car are not. We look before we go.
Good idea. Good idea.
Also, if you do that,
Yep.
Make sure your falcons are closed because.
Yeah, we've seen videos of that, the falcon door being ripped off as the guy pulls out of his driveway.
Oh.
Those are really nice. Really nice.
Definitely a body shop deal because most of the Tesla service centers will send you to the body shop to get any adjustments done to those guys. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be extra expensive.
Next, and there's no good segue into this really. Texas Republican Kelly Hancock is doubling down on the anti-Tesla bill that's been dogging Tesla in the state of Texas over the last number of, I guess, couple of years now.
Mhm.
Kelly is pushing hard that the current bill that's in place that blocks Tesla from selling cars from a retail store in Texas directly to consumers could possibly also force Tesla owners to have their service done in another state, not be able to get their cars serviced by Tesla in the state of Texas. Now, Kelly does say that that's not true. The bill would not stop that. But when you read through the bill, apparently there are some loopholes in it that kind of point in that direction and could be interpreted that way. So it becomes interpretation of the law, which could be really dangerous based on who interprets it.
Exactly.
And whether or not you can get your car serviced or not in the state of Texas. So with
it gets better than that. Anybody who called him on it, he says, no, we already talked to Tesla. And then you actually see the Tesla attorneys tweet back that, where is it? We haven't seen it.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and then anybody who's not a Tesla attorney, he blocks.
So he wants the cone of silence on this.
Yes.
He does not want to publicize any of this.
Yeah, I'm googling to see if he ran on any kind of pro-business platform.
But I mean, this stance is totally anti anything that any of the Texans would stand for, on both sides of the aisle. Texas is supposed to be the freedom state. You do whatever you want. You got acres of land, all your guns, blah blah blah. You can't get your car serviced.
Can I tell you how boring this political conversation is?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Because it's like enough. It's 2019. We're all adults. Texas is it's a red state. It's run by Republicans, and Republicans do this. It doesn't I can't believe this happens. You know what? If you can't believe it happens, you're the problem. And I'm not saying you guys, but I mean, enough already where we pretend.
Oh my goodness, the leopards eating faces party is going to eat my face?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let's just stop pretending and let's be realistic. Texas is going to do whatever they can because that's what they do.
Oh, and they only run every 2 years. So, they're going to do all this. And then if it succeeds, they got to wait 2 years before they can fix it because they leave and they don't come back.
Right. And if you are in Texas and you want to participate,
sorry.
Well, we can go there. I wasn't going there. But if you are there and want to act against this, you can go to the website teslafortexas.com and sign up and organize with others in Texas that are trying to reverse this. So just a note out to those Tesla owners in Texas that are concerned. There is something you can do. Be vocal, prompt your politicians, and join this group to organize.
Yeah.
So
David says oil. I think it's actually the dealer lobbies, just like everywhere else.
Yeah, it's dealers.
I love this. The Teslarati article from Simon Alvarez here says, Teslarati has reached out to the office of Senator Kelly Hancock 3 times so far. We have yet to receive a single response. That's probably, Simon, because you've been blocked.
Right.
Your calls are no longer getting through. You were blocked on the first call.
Yes. I saw his name, Teslarati. Oh, they had the word Tesla in it.
Yeah, the word Tesla's in this. Delete. Next, Bloomberg, our favorite counter of Model 3s, has calculated that the Model 3 production is now reached over 225,000 units. Now, this is not exact, but Bloomberg's counter has been within plus or minus 5% all the times that they have published these numbers over the past number of months. So it's relatively certain you're in that area. 225,000 vehicles since the Model 3 was started to be produced back a little bit over a year ago. So good to see the number is increasing and still going up. and Russell has thrown up billions and billions served, I'm sure.
Did
Yes,
did I
indeed.
talk last week about the line around the block for the Chinese DMV?
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a whole other ship that just landed with full of Model 3s. So they've got yet another case of a whole bunch of performance and long-range dual motor cars that are landing and getting ready to flood the market again.
Have arrived by Grovis boat, I'm sure.
Yes, exactly.
Very good. Very good. Another note of optimism. The V2 update has started to roll out for superchargers, and a number have reported back that yes, the charge times have decreased by about 20%, or I guess the times have decreased, and the amount of charge going into the cars has increased by 20%. So the bump up is saving people some time at these particular superchargers. Casey, do you know, this is obviously some sort of a software update that's sent to the superchargers, but yes, I don't know how fast it's rolling out. I heard a couple of reports of people reporting that, yes, this particular supercharger was upped, but I've heard other people say others are not.
Right. They have their own cellular connections, and just like Powerwalls and the cars, they get firmware updates and they run them when they're not busy. I did do an experiment this past weekend. I took my Ludicrous car down to Georgia, and I did my own battery preconditioning, and I heated the car up using the Ludicrous mode, and it looked like my car held the higher speeds for longer. So I'm curious to see how it compares with the way that Tesla does it, since they have a lot more control over the system than me pushing the heat button.
Right. So you manually made the battery heat up basically to see if you could charge faster when you arrived at a supercharger.
Correct.
Very good.
It's a really long Tesla Bjorn style video. I'm trying to cut it to make it a little shorter now, but that should go up this week.
Very good. And you can follow Casey's feed at Casey Green on YouTube. So subscribe.
I'm sorry, you were.
So go ahead and subscribe, and you can see Casey's videos as they release if you ring that bell. And while you're ringing a bell, you may as well ring the bell of this particular show as well.
It's right here under our pictures.
Up, and if you haven't subscribed yet to this YouTube channel and heard all the times I've asked you, shame on you. But
they could be new.
But if you are new and you haven't heard this before, or if you've just been procrastinating, please press that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1,000. We're so close. I think we're about 19 away at this point. So every subscription really helps. So please do that.
Yes, at 981 right now. I'd like to see that go up. I just saw 2 more people click that thumbs up. I want to see some more thumbs up before the end of the show.
Awesome. Next, guess what was spotted outside of California recently in a black Model 3?
A Yeti?
Oh. No Yeti. No. Good guess, though. Good guess. It was a right-hand drive Model 3. So the right-hand drive for countries such as England, Australia, and others has been spotted on the roads of California. Yes, it's not doing much good in California for those of you in England, but at least it's showing that they are working on it. And that right-hand drive, the most rare of the Model 3s, is on its way. So that unicorn was spotted in a rain picture you could catch on our Twitter feed as well. Gentleman driving it on a highway was definitely on the right-hand side of the car. Photographic proof, people, is out there.
And the Model 3, I think, would make it easier than some other cars to do that flip, since there's not a whole lot going on the dashboard.
Right. The dash is basically playing on both sides, right? So it's just like
the Prius.
Exactly. Prius with the stuff in the center, right, Tony?
Yes, exactly. Only this is the Model 3 would be, even easier. I mean, the Prius, you could flip some of the LCDs, but since this is just a tablet, then it's just X's and Y's,
Yep. Swap the pixels, and that's it.
Unless somebody stole that code, in which case.
in which case the Chinese manufacturer has that ability.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next, there's been a number of stories this week about the deliveries in Europe accelerating. So we've had stories about the number of Model 3s arriving in Europe, surpassing some of the legacy automakers. So you've got the German brands, BMW, Audi, that Tesla is surpassing with Model 3 sales. And this last one I want to just touch on because there's been at least a dozen of these stories. And there's going to be a ton more as the end of the quarter comes up this weekend. There's going to be a lot more. But this one was interesting that over 4,000 Model 3s were delivered to Norway alone in under a month for this month of, or this partial month of March. So again, we know that Norway is a huge EV magnet. The Norwegians love their EVs. They're incentivized heavily for them, and therefore they sell boatloads of them. And several of those boatloads have arrived and are now in the hands of happy Norwegians. So good to see Norway again leading the way in Europe in sales. They are number one in Europe, even though they're not the largest country by volume or number of people. They are number one in EV sales regardless. So great to see that that over 4,000 have arrived in just March. And again, we're really going to be interested to see what those numbers are come the end of the weekend as to what was actually delivered over the first quarter.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's amazing how quickly the Model 3 has ramped when they were just having trouble making 1,000 less than a year ago.
Yeah, it's so many people doubted that they would even get out of the gate when they saw those peddly numbers. Like, remember the first month?
Yeah, it was like
total of
200.
like 127 were made, like total.
Yeah.
And people were losing their minds that how could they possibly only produce 127 cars and expect to produce 300,000 in a year?
Yeah,
like it was like, this is just insanity. But yet they've turned around and the hockey stick ramp has really happened. And we are now at that other end of the hockey stick where there are thousands being produced every week. So that's fantastic.
It's like Elon says, people think linearly. We're not conditioned, or there's nothing in real life that moves exponentially like that we have a mental model for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, gentlemen, that's a good day's work. Let's do some shout outs and head home. Casey, let's start with you.
I got a couple videos coming out this week. Like I said, I was released from autopilot jail this morning. And,
about time, criminal.
Right? And we're
not going to bail you out again, Casey, so do not get locked up.
No more autopilot jail. And then we also have the video of my experiment with the battery heating. It's not scientifically sound because it's only one data point, and I've had a software update this morning, so I can't repeat it. But it does at least show us. I'm gonna put all of my charging data that I can find on a separate webpage so you can peruse it, and I think that it is something interesting to look at.
Excellent, very good. Tony, what have you got for us?
Okay, Mark.
Today.
First and foremost, this has been driving us crazy for the last hour.
Yes.
What is in the corner of your ceiling over your shoulder?
That is a large camel spider, about 4.5 inches long. Its name is Fred.
All right, Fred the spider.
Fred Lambert.
Fred. No, it's not.
We're gonna get sued. We're gonna get sued.
He's gonna block us all.
Oh,
it's
God.
just a ball of speaker wire that I put in my ceiling as a proposed speaker site in the future. That's all it is.
All right.
Sorry to disappoint.
So, show title: Fred Lambert joins the show. Got it.
Oh no, don't do that.
Yes. So shout outs as usual to everybody in the chat room. Thanks again for spending some time with us. I know that I am going to mispronounce
Then don't.
Leah Coughlin. Is that it, Mark?
Leah Coughlin. That name sounds familiar.
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
It does.
She's joined the chat. David, have a great trip tomorrow. And the show titles we have so far, we actually have a few. I've been taking notes. We have the one we started with, Stealing Elon's Porn. We have Darth Frost, Obi-Wan Russell, Sexy Bikini, spelled with a 3, so that's sexy.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. Advanced Summon, Ludicrous Mode. And then we have Sith Lords watch over this week's show. Although I do like Fred the Spider. That's my new one. I'm throwing that one out there too.
Fred the Spider?
Fred the Spider.
But there's so many good ones. I mean,
I recommend staying away from the first one just because of the it'll demonetize you whenever you do get ads.
Stealing Elon's porn.
For saying Elon?
No, the P word.
Yeah, I know. I was kidding. If you have to clarify it, it's not as funny.
Never explain the joke.
Yeah.
Rule number 2 of comedy.
Some jokes are funnier when you explain them.
No.
Not very many.
Not a one.
Oh man.
All right. And final shout out, and I know Mark, you always do it, but we can't thank Lee Moon enough for the music.
The music.
Thank you,
music
Lee.
Man. Absolutely. Mr. Frost, any parting words?
Oh, it's just going to take me about 20 minutes. So just settle in, folks. I wish I could see all of you because I know you'd be like, ah! Real quick. This week, this guy named Patrick Connor, and if you don't know Patrick Connor, he is a Tesla owner. He is a Tesla stockholder. He is a dedicated Tesla fan. Patrick and I sat down for no less than 1 hour and 45 minutes and discussed an article he had written last year, almost a year ago, about Tesla moats and what made Tesla special. And we wanted to look at that a year later, and we had a really brilliant conversation. If you want to hear nice, measured discussion from 2 different sides on what's going on with Tesla, I am so proud of this show. It's really good. So what drives, youtube.com/what drives us. Look for Patrick. It's a one-on-one. It says what drives us one-on-one. Patrick Connor and Russell Frost discussion of Tesla moats. It just came out this Wednesday. And was Tony putting porn up on the, what is that? Being Canadian. Okay.
That is the movie
That's the movie.
About.
Oh, okay.
And here's a picture, I think, of the producers.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. The Trailer Park Boys. Yes.
So go over to What Drives Us on YouTube and check that out. I would love to know what you Tesla enthusiasts think of that conversation. Now, you may not want to listen to the whole thing. I get it. That's fine. It's really long. It's really involved. Mm-hmm. But I would love to know what you think.
It's in the beginning. It's got a table of contents, so you can skip to the parts you want.
There you go.
Yes, I listened to it. It was very in depth, Russell, and you're right. The 2 opposing views was excellent as it went through the different topics that Patrick had initially wrote in his article.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, I mean, we can, Patrick and I can be a little shouty at each other, but I thought it was a really good conversation.
I agree. I agree. Well, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you in the chat room. Thank you for watching. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so now. Press that like button. Ring the bell if you want to get some notifications when the show starts. And we will see you next week and let you know what is going on in the Tesla life.